And I want to welcome everybody into the Fifth Dimension podcast with me, Evan McDermott. Thank you for tuning into this episode, and today we're talking about the red pill. That is right. Will you take the red pill? Now, special thank you to Aaron Dowdy for the inspiration for this podcast. I saw a video that he did recently on the red pill, and I felt inspired to discuss this topic myself. You should give him a follow on Instagram. And I'm going to make it clear right off the bat, red pill, not a political sense. All right? We're not talking about red pill from, we're going to Trump and the Republicans and red pilling. We're not talking about it in that sense. Red pill has been politicized ever since Elon Musk essentially came out and was like, take the red pill, and the media ran with it and all this crap in regards to politics. We're not talking politics. We are going to look back at the original meaning of red pill, and we're going to go from there. So you'll see what I mean. Now, before we jump into it, I would like to give you all the opportunity to hear about the wonderful things going on with the Fifth Dimension. First and foremost, thank you to all the listeners, because we've seen some tremendous growth lately. So shout out to all you lovely people who are tuning in and here right now. I appreciate you. I am grateful for you. You're all wonderful, beautiful. So yeah, thanks for listening. We've seen some growth in that department. If you're a fan of the show, you can check us out on social media at the Fifth Dimension Podcast on Instagram or at Evan McDermott. We post on there a lot. We're very active. So, reach out. Come find us on Instagram. Come join the community. It is growing. We're getting a lot of new followers every single day. So it is cool. Come check us out. There's a Patreon, patreon.com/Evan McDermott. Represents the Fifth Dimension community. You get exclusive guided meditations, some exclusive podcast content. Just a lot of cool stuff that you might want to immerse yourself with. And it supports the show. Yeah, support the show. And a free way you can support the show as well is, simply pressing subscribe, giving us a rating, whatever it is. That social interaction actually impacts the algorithms of whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, if you're watching on there. And that's how more people are going to find the show, believe it or not. So if you do like the show, give us a rating, thumbs up, subscribe, whatever it is. For you on your platform, and it is greatly appreciated. And I love to hear from you guys, so do reach out with some suggestions, comments, even if hate mail, I guess. I hope you don't send me hate mail. But if you have something to say that you don't like about the show, tell me that too. I want to hear all of your thoughts. So, we got that stuff taken care of. Now let's jump into the red pill. As I said, thanks to Aaron Dowdy for giving me this topic, and I also want to take a moment to sort of look at this red pill, blue pill concept, and I think there's a lot of limitations just in the idea of red pilling or blue pilling. And somebody who was not recently on the show, but on the show in the past, Nicholas from The Wave in the Ocean, he actually, I posted something about red pill the other day, and he was talking about the whole idea of it being very dualistic. And, it's almost, we have these two options, and dualism is very unnatural to our experience. So, what I'm sort of arguing is that with this red pill mentality, it isn't necessarily black and white, whether you choose one or two. It's almost sort of an awakening and a journey into red pilling. And there is no exact way that you're going to do this per se. So I don't think it necessarily falls into that dualistic approach, but I could see how the oversimplification of red pill, blue pill, I think sort of takes away from the concept and creates sort of this dualistic approach that we're trying to escape from when it comes to awakening and spirituality. So I do want to start with, sort of this politicization, politics of red pill first, and just get that out of the way and clear the air, because, it's really begun to make a comeback. You hear it all the time, and if you talk about being red pill, it's sort of associated with now right-wing or republicanism. Elon Musk came out and said, take the red pill, and it's sort of become, red is the color of Republicans in the United States of America, blue is the color of Democrats. So, regardless of whatever Elon Musk's intention was in terms of saying that, it very much, felt like a political statement. And however, maybe he meant as a call to wake up and sort of the origins of it. I think we see it a lot on the political spectrum, and it's used to sort of get away from the, I guess you could say, quote unquote, like woke leftist politics that we see existent. That's where we see it the most. So we're not talking about red pill in that sense. I think that is a horrible definition of red pill. I don't think that is necessarily the correct way in using it, because it takes away from the true power of red pill. And if we're looking at the sort of organic, original meaning, and certainly things evolve and things change, and I acknowledge that, but I want to refer to the original organic meaning to help you grasp the concepts I want to bring up. And why is this organic meaning important? Well, let's jump into the history of it, right? We sort of see it appear in The Matrix. And if you haven't seen The Matrix, I would recommend watching it. It's a good movie. I don't watch a lot of movies. But it's not necessarily vital to understand the whole plot to pick up on the idea of the red pill, right? So Neo, the main character, he's very much living this mundane, ordinary existence. And what happens is he awakens to the real reality. The entire society that he thought was real was just a complete elaborate programming. And they were all sort of plugged in, hooked up to these machines simulating this existence. And he's given the option to return to his ordinary, mundane life, one that he was restless in, not necessarily feeling fulfilled. There was something more. Take the blue pill, and he'll forget all about this call to adventure. He'll never even remember it. Or he can embark on a journey of authenticity, learn truth, the true meaning of life and existence. And that's by taking the red pill. The life that Neo was living, as I was saying, was not as it seemed. Everybody was plugged in and programmed. And I think we are very much conditioned for that same type of society today. Now, I'm not saying we're all plugged into computers in some design, lab, but I mean, you could look at technology, you could look at the conditioning and what, Hollywood conditioned us with movies, and what sort of, programming takes place in mainstream media, and sort of this elaborate scheme that has been constructed by those at the top of the hierarchical power structures to keep us in a place of mundane, making us believe that life is this, it is not this explorative, journey. That's sort of all been taken away from us, and we've been conditioned to follow this strict timeline. And I'm going to get right into that. Blue pill living is living in a place of comfort, complacency. That's sort of it's a complacent state of consciousness, if you will. You're sort of vibrating at a lower frequency, maybe in angst and anxiety, anger a lot of times, fear. Most people on the planet are here because it is what has been taught. I think more and more people are starting to wake up and emerge into this higher state of consciousness, into red pilling, but most people are in blue. That's believing everything that you're told, right? You go on Twitter, what a cesspool that is. You type in any sort of quote unquote conspiracy theory or anything that questions the mainstream narrative, you immediately have people all over the place attacking you, not even willing to listen and have civil discourse, because they feel when you attack those mainstream ideas, we're taught to base our identities off these mainstream ideas. And so when you attack that, or you simply question it, people view it as their identity being in question. So, in this sort of blue pill lifestyle, you believe everything you're told. You are willing to sacrifice this idea of freedom. You probably don't even know what freedom is. For comfort, for having your baseline needs met, because you see that there are other people in this world who don't even have baseline needs met. So it's like, oh, I'm okay with this and I don't need any more. And you get into a system of complacency. You have this sort of blind trust in the authorities that rule the world, and you believe in this hierarchical power structure of reality. It's really, blue pill is really a false sense of certainty, if you will, because we fear the unknown. I've had so many great conversations on the show about the fear of the unknown. And I think it really stems from a fear of death, as Lisa Jones and I talked about. But with the blue pill, we don't have to look into that fear. We can stay right where we are. It'd be like Neo choosing the blue pill. Oh, I'm going to go back to my regular life. That sucked. But at least I'm comfortable and I can sit on the couch and drink beer and watch TV and not really challenge myself and, not question authority. I see people suffering. But I'm doing okay. That is blue pill. And, it's a do as you are told, do not question reality. It's indoctrinated into us in our schooling. And I'm saying that as a teacher. This idea is do as you're told. And, if we think about what is human nature, this society of blue pill that we have been living in is so asinine. It's so ridiculous and against human nature, right? Think about every child. My mom always jokes that, not even jokes, but talks about how I was always asking questions from the moment I started talking. I was 1 year old and I'm being like, why? How come? Who's this? What's that? Questioning everything around me. Children are very inquisitive. They want to explore. They want to understand because there's so much that they have not seen. They're this new physical being in this ginormous world. Everything is a new experience, right? And when we look at that childlike innocence and that inquisitive nature, I would argue every human is meant to be like this through the duration of their life. There's no question about that for me. And when we sort of awaken and we go back to questioning our reality and we go back to questioning what is truth, what is the most efficient method of living, not just as a society, but for me personally, what is it that I need? What is it that I really want? Who am I beyond this surface level identity that's really just a bunch of labels so that we can be used as, division? So there's this sort of standard narrative in Western culture in particular. You understand it. You're born, you go to school, maybe you go to college, you get a job, you find a wife, you get married, you have kids, and then you work your ass off until someday you can retire, and then you can relax. Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? What is extraordinary about that? I understand that some people have very fulfilling jobs, and there isn't necessarily a way we can live outside of that, work mentality in ways, because money equates to freedom in this society, and it's very difficult to just unplug from society altogether. But when we start to wake up, we sort of realize that this is just a construct. This is just something we've created in a place of convenience, and those at the top of the power structure use it to their advantage because we don't question. We stay obedient. We don't look what's underneath the surface of reality or what actually constructs reality, because we don't know what constructs reality. Again, look at that fear of the unknown. How can you, if somebody asks you what is the nature of reality, how are you going to answer that? You don't know. You have to explore that question, and that has to be almost sort of a lifelong purpose to discovering the true nature of reality, to discovering the true nature of consciousness. What is my purpose? Well, through exploration, I found so far this seems to be my purpose and calling. And you have to continually explore these questions if you want to live a life of fulfillment. And, that is what red pilling is all about. And that is why you should be taking the red pill. And I do believe we are experiencing this planetary awakening, this mass shift in consciousness to truth. All our ways of life, as I was saying, are merely constructs. They're just constructs. They don't have to be what we organize ourselves by. We can choose collectively to do something different, to create a better model. This blue pill comfort complacency goes against the nature of human evolution, right? We as a species are supposed to be continually evolving. Over, you look at the history of Earth, we come from the single cell organisms millions and millions of years ago. We have evolved to this point of where we are at. And what are we going to do? Just stop? Be like, oh, we're perfect. That's fine. We don't need to continue to evolve. No, we're supposed to continually evolve as we go along as a species. That is part of the evolution of the universe. So I think as a society, we're beginning to realize that as an individual, we have the option to construct our reality. We have the option to return to this explorative phase because these constructs are breaking down at such an extreme level. This quote-unquote standard model is just a bunch of BS. We don't need to follow it. So, we've been socially conditioned to really believe in these belief systems, right? The idea of love, money, personal belongings, all these sort of norms and ideologies are what make our identity. But when you start on the inward journey, you realize that these constructs don't make up your authentic self. Your authentic self is you. Deep down in there. Remember that child that we were talking about? That explorative, intuitive, friendly child? That's you. That is your authentic self. So we enter the world of the unknown, the world of the red pill. This is the uncomfortable truths. We see a lot of these coming out in our society today. There are some uncomfortable truths I can't even talk about on this podcast because it will be taken down. Because there is censorship around these issues, because there is so much control at the top, deepest levels of our hierarchical power structures. But when we take the red pill, these uncomfortable truths and this exploration all comes down to what actually is reality if it is not the previous belief systems. What is the nature of me? For me, what is the nature of Evan McDermott? Who am I truly? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to be? And what is my role? And how do I find that? How do we answer that question? Well, you wake up to your own individual self, your authentic purpose. I've talked about purpose a little bit on this show. But for me, if I were to say what my purpose is, somebody asked me, it's not defined by a job or monetary goals. My purpose is to help others awaken to their true passions, is to be there for others when they are in need of a helping hand. My purpose is to be the most self-actualized version of myself, a being of love, compassion, and unity, so that I can be of service to others and fulfill sort of a higher calling. And I try and do that through my unique talents. I have a podcast. I am a good speaker. I'm a good writer. I'm writing a book about the nature of interconnectivity. There's all of these, these talents that I've discovered through exploration into unknown that I realize I can fulfill my purpose through. So, to discover the true nature of reality is really just to discover yourself and then begin on this, your own hero's journey, your own quest. And it's to realize the falsehoods of the external world around us and, the fear that is instilled into us and the conditioning that's really been in place. And when you're able to look past all that deep down, what we realize, what I've realized, and what keeps me going is this waking up to the fact that we are all one. We are interconnected as a species. We are one macro organism. All 7 billion of us on this planet are one. Okay? If we lived in a world where everybody woke up to this reality, pursued the uncomfortable truths, felt that interconnectedness, that love, that purpose, it would completely dissolve the old paradigm. It would completely dissolve all of the issues that we are facing in this world right now, whether it be pollution, deforestation, racism. All of these constructs would cease to exist because they're simply symptoms of us being asleep. We would be able to create something that emulates more of our natural state, our connection to nature and our connection to one another. Things no longer have to be fixed or conditioned into a certain way and sort of aligned to this sort of societal expectation. Because we are learning, we are discovering truth along the way. You don't need to fill this particular narrative that society expects you to fill and follow the quote-unquote traditional path. What is the traditional path? It's to keep you obedient. Do what is authentic for you, what is calling to you, and it's going to be different for everybody, but do what is authentic. Because if you don't, you're doing not only yourself a disservice, but everybody around you a disservice because you're not living up to your potential. So, and authority, the government, they don't want a society of self-actualized individuals. What is the true purpose of authority other than to rule over you? You can call America a democracy all you want, but it's not. There is no freedom. If you try and live outside the constructs of society, you try and create something that is authentic, it's very difficult to do that. What is freedom? You'll have to ask that question. When you start looking at these uncomfortable truths, you start to realize that we have very little of it. Certainly there are places with more of it. And many of the external freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, some of those are there. Even those are under pressure, though. We see censorship. Like I mentioned earlier, there are things I can't talk about in the show. Otherwise, it'll get in. And, authority is there to keep us afraid. It's there to keep us complacent, following their traditional path so that they can continue, the elites, to rule over us. So ask yourself, what keeps you afraid? What is keeping you stagnated? What is keeping you complacent? I have to ask myself this all the time. I'm not perfect. I fall back into my old conditioning on numerous occasions. But it's about gaining that self-awareness, that recognition of wanting to awaken, that recognition of wanting to be the best version of yourself, and speaking your truth without the fear of consequence. That is what Red Pill is all about. Nothing political. Recognize that you're not perfect. Ask yourself, how am I wrong? How can I be better? How can I grow? Adopt a growth mindset. How is my current belief system biased? What are things that maybe I don't see? What are things I choose to ignore? Unconsciously even. A lot of times we look for things to condition our bias and condition the perspective that we hold. We always have to be willing to accept new ideas, even if it's from our perceived worst enemy, and think abstractly about them. Take them in, see if they resonate with you. Because if we just shun everything, we're never going to grow. We have to continually expose ourselves. So, when you begin to question everything, you gain a true sense of autonomy and individual freedom. And you can really begin to control your own destiny. The only thing that holds us back in life is our limited perception. And that's brought onto us by societal condition. You won't find your purpose without, periods of self-exploration, questioning your belief system. That's why this quarantine, and we're seeing this planetary shift in consciousness right now, the beginning stages of this great transformation. That's why this quarantine was a blessing in many ways, because so many were faced with the uncomfortable truths, with the shadows they have been ignoring for so long. They couldn't resist them any longer. And if you're in that state, yes, it can be uncomfortable, it can be scary, there's going to be fear, but you will awaken to your true self when you begin to look into the shadows. When you acknowledge the part that either you yourself or society has shunned. Acknowledge it, love it, nurture it. Nurture that inner child. Awaken to your true self. Stop attaching your identity to external realities, whether that be political ideas, social movements, the constructs that don't exist without our participation. Stop attaching your whole reality and identity to those constructs. And that includes race, religion, sexual orientation. You are deeper than that. Is that a part of you? Yes. But what is it beyond a label? Okay, to divide us and prevent us from looking at the fact that we are all one and we are all interconnected. We need to embrace our individual differences, celebrate our individual differences, but we don't need to define ourselves by them. And look inside of you for the truth, the uncomfortable truth, but also the beauty, the inward journey of discovery. And, this idea, the hero's journey, we see it all over the place. The hero's quest, we see it. Hero with 1,000 Faces, Joseph Campbell, because it is the journey of awakening. It is meant to be human's evolution, for everybody to go on their own journey. Why is it that we relate so much with characters like Neo in The Matrix, or Frodo in The Lord of the Rings? Because they are taking the hero's journey and discovery in truth. And you're the hero in your life. You are the main protagonist. You have a call right here and right now of you can take the red pill and you can discover truth, exploration, the uncomfortable side of the shadows, and live a life that is more fulfilling. Or you can continue to stagnate, not grow, and live a life of angst. And why would you want to? I don't understand why anyone would do that. I guess I do, because it is comforting, complacent, but you will never reach your full potential if you don't venture out and try. And, if you fail, at least you tried and you learned something new. Everything is a learning tool in this life. Everything that ever happens to you, you can learn and you can grow from if you choose, or you can let it hold you back. We have to give our own meaning to our own lives. Nobody's going to do it for us. It involves widening our lens to seek truth, to seek authenticity. Truth has a frequency. Tune into your intuition, that feeling that is deep inside of you, that knowing. Sometimes you just know. Truth has a frequency. Tune into it. What is it that your heart truly wants? And what is it that you are truly feeling? And you will find all of the answers that you need in life. I promise you that. And it's a never-ending journey. Construct your reality to be meaningful and achieve true freedom. And when everybody begins doing this, we will create something that is truly remarkable collectively. And I know that. The collective is simply a microcosm of the majority of individuals. And why is it so chaotic? Because people are so chaotic. When we can tune into ourselves and create serenity and bliss through the hero's journey, through exploration, we can create something that is uniquely beautiful. So really, Red Pill is a call to awakening. And I hope you choose this call to awakening. understand that you're in total control. You choose if you want to take this journey. And a lot of times, I didn't. I sort of just got thrust into it, but I realized that if I don't make the choice to continue down the path of trying to reach a stage of self-actualization, I will never live a fulfilling life. And that's what keeps me going. So you control your reality. You can create the destiny that you know is meant for you. There's nothing you really cannot achieve in this lifetime. So seek truth, seek compassion, seek love, seek authenticity, and it will find you. Look into the shadows, look into the uncomfortable truths, and as you go on this journey, others will be there for you. The fifth dimension is all about this journey. This is a community for you. So with that, I hope you take the red pill. I'm going to be signing off. Do check us out on social media, at Instagram at the Fifth Dimension Podcast, at Evan McDermott. There's Patreon, patreon.com/Evan McDermott. And with that, that's going to wrap up this episode. I want to thank you for tuning in. Thanks for the continued support and growth of this show. We're only going up from here. We're on the hero's journey ourselves. I'm on the hero's journey myself. And what a ride it's been already, and we're only just beginning. Much love, and I will see you all next time.